The UAP Harold, case file 008, still unresolved. This is not a story about 1947. There are no weather balloons here, no faded Cold War memos, no witness who died 40 years ago. On the 8th of May 2026, the United States Department of War did something it had never done. It put its own recent unexplained UAP files on a public website, war.gov/UFO, no clearance required. Videos, sensor tapes, mission reports, incidents from all over the world, most of them since 2020. And a couple dozen of those clips carry the same government label, stamped right in the title, unresolved. Not aliens, not confirmed craft. Something more careful, and in a way more unsettling. The military's own analysts looking at their own sensors and writing down, "We could not explain this." Tonight, we read the map of what they released. Start with how these files even got out. The release has a name, Pursue, the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters, an interagency effort ordered from the top to find, declassify, and publish the government's unresolved UAP records. The first tranche alone was more than 160 records from the Department of War, the FBI, NASA, the State Department, including 28 videos and more than 400 reported incidents. Each batch rides in on a plain government cover sheet. One of them, in our files, records a recommendation up the chain at U.S. Central Command and a Department of Defense stamp, cleared for open publication. We flagged the officer's name on that sheet as document only. The release is confirmed. The routing is what the paper says. But the word that matters is that label, unresolved. So let's be precise about what it means.
It does not mean extraterrestrial. It means that at the time of release, the reviewing office could not assign the object a conventional identity, a drone, a balloon, a bird, an aircraft, a sensor artifact. The case is open, pending resolution, nothing more and nothing less.
Hold on to that, because it cuts both ways all night. And here is the other honest thing, before a single clip, most of these videos are not spectacular. Read across the whole release, and it is, over and over, an infrared camera locked onto a small white speck, holding it against the sky or the sea. The 24 military clips run, all told, about 41 minutes. This is not a hanger of sources, it is a stack of sensor tape. The question is what is on it, so we laid the cases out on a world map. Because the interesting thing is not any one of them, it is the spread. Recent, military, open, all over the planet. Begin in the Eastern Mediterranean. Greece, January 2024. 66 seconds of electro-optical and infrared footage from a U.S. Central Command platform, tracking a bright point through a cloud field. The mission report describes it plainly.
Diamond-shaped, moving at approximately 434 knots, and detectable only on the short-wave infrared sensor, invisible to the naked eye.
Invisible to the eye, solid on the sensor. That combination is exactly why a case gets flagged instead of dismissed. Now south to the water off the United Arab Emirates, June 2024. 21 seconds of infrared, a small white shape holding in the center of the frame. And watch how careful the report itself is, because the credibility is in the caveats.
An object resembling an inverted teardrop, with a vertical trailing mass suspended below it. The observer reported that the object may instead be a reflection from an object in the water.
The report offers its own mundane explanation, in the same breath. That is what an honest file looks like. Keep moving. The oldest clip in the set is Middle East, 2013. Nearly 2 minutes of a luminous object with a hard starburst signature slewing across the sensor. Iran, August 2022. 4 objects in formation over open water, each trailing a bright wake. Syria, 2021. A FLIR clip the analysts reran with edge enhancement, trying to pin down a shape that appeared to change speed. Across the Pacific, the Indo-Pacific command clips 2023 and 2024, one of them tracking a white object out over an offshore wind farm. And a true outlier, Africa 2025, the only African case, the only 2025 clip, a couple of seconds of high-altitude infrared, and then the one a Navy pilot would recognize instantly.
30 seconds of forward-looking infrared off an FA-18. A hard contact, dead center of the pod, holding lock. You train your whole career to identify what you're looking at. Sometimes, you just can't.
One theater after another. Different sensors, different commands, different years, the same two-word stamp on all of them. Now the cold water, and it is a full bucket, because the skeptics read the exact same files and they are not impressed.
Start with the sensors. A modern infrared pod renders a hot object, a distant jet engine, an exhaust plume, as a fat, pill-shaped thermal bloom. It looks strange because the optics are strange, not because the object is. Most of what you're seeing is a bright speck against a flat sky, with no range, no scale, and no second camera. Parallax makes a far-off plane look like it's darting. As one longtime analyst put it, more dots, more parallax. And the man who once ran the Pentagon's UAP office is blunter still. The records he reviewed contained no evidence of recovered alien technology. None.
And the official numbers back the skeptics up. When the Anomaly Office ran its annual accounting, it took in 757 reports and resolved case after case to the ordinary: balloons, birds, drones, satellites, aircraft, hundreds of them. What was left, the genuinely, quote, truly anomalous residue, was 21 cases. So say it clearly, because the internet never does. Unresolved is not a synonym for alien. Most UAP, looked at hard, turn into something dull. The story of this release is not that the government proved anything. It is that, after all of it, a small number of cases would not resolve, and the government, for once, printed them anyway. For the record, 2013, the oldest clip, a luminous object with a starburst signature, Middle East, unresolved. 2020 to 2022, the dense years, formations over the Persian Gulf, a contact that seems to change speed over Syria, spheres over the water. January 2024, Greece, diamond-shaped, 434 knots, seen only on infrared. June 2024, the United Arab Emirates, an inverted teardrop, the report itself says, might be a reflection. 2025, Africa, a lone high-altitude case, half a world from the rest. May 20 to 26, the Department of War puts all of it online and labels the hardest cases unresolved. So, what do we actually know? We know these files are real, recent, and military, sensor tape and mission reports the government declassified and published under its own name. We know the label unresolved means one specific thing: no conventional identity assigned at the time of release. And we know the overwhelming majority of UAP cases run to ground turn out to be ordinary. What we don't know is what the Greece object was: solid on shortwave infrared, invisible to the eye. We don't know what held formation over the Gulf, or what a trained aircrew locked onto and still could not call. And we don't know why, after resolving hundreds of cases, a stubborn handful, across 3 combatant commands and 13 years, still would not close. This isn't a disclosure of aliens. It is something rarer and more honest, a government showing its own unfinished work. Most of it resolves, a little of it doesn't, and now you can watch the exact frames where the analysts ran out of answers. Case file 008, still unresolved. Every file read, Every claim checked against independent sources by an autonomous AI investigation. The UAP Harold. Declassified, investigated, filed.